And now, Elliot Maras, broadcasting live from AAPEX.
Hello and welcome to Professional Tool and Equipment News live broadcast from the floor of AAPEX 2012 in the PTEN Tool and Equipment Lounge, booth 1061. I'm Elliot Maras, the editor of PTEN, the independent tool authority. And you are?
Hi, I'm Sarah Shellstrom. I'm the publisher of VehicleServicePros.com, the official website for Professional Tool and Equipment News, Professional Distributor, and Fleet Maintenance magazines. Elliot and I here are going to be delivering show news, interviewing key industry suppliers and executives, and providing coverage from the show floor with 2 live broadcasts each day.
Okay.
These broadcasts are sponsored by LaunchTech, a global player in the automotive aftermarket that provides a full range of equipment and service solutions for shops. And by Mayhew, the oldest U.S. manufacturer of punches and chisels in the market today.
Helping with the additional show floor coverage will be PTEN's newest edition, Wrench and Roger, sponsored by Mitchell 1, the industry's top fully integrated software service provider. Wrench and Roger will be giving viewers a first-person perspective of the show through video footage of his experience as an attendee at AAPEX. Well, I think it's time to get on with today's show. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Hello, Elliot.
Hello, Bill. Well, we're sitting today with Bill Haas of Haas Performance Consulting. Bill specializes in business consulting to the automotive service and repair industry. Bill, we have some very important things to talk about today, but first just give us a little bit of idea of your background in the automotive aftermarket industry.
Well, it started a long time ago, Elliot, about 40 years now to be honest with you. So I came out of a trade school and worked in a Lincoln Mercury dealership, went to work in an independent shop, owned my own business for about 18 years, so I kind of ran the gamut of being the technician, the service writer, the service advisor, the janitor, the answer the phone, whatever you had to do. And from there went to work at a technical college and contracted to General Motors as a technical trainer, and then spent the last 12 years with the Automotive Service Association in a variety of positions, in the last 5 years as Vice President of Education and Training. So background's pretty varied, but always been in the automotive industry.
And what made you want to focus on automotive education?
People need help, and I enjoy helping people.
And what, in your opinion, is the greatest need facing the automotive aftermarket today?
On the service side of it, I think the biggest challenge today is for shops to do a better job of operating their business. You know, we see so many shops that are just incredibly smart people, great technical skills, mechanical aptitude, they're really good at fixing cars, and they're just not paying enough attention to the business side of the business. They're still trying to spend time under the hood, being mechanics and technicians, and the business side gets away from them. And it's so critical today that, you know, there's no room for error anymore. You know, you could do things years past, and if you made a few mistakes, you could recover. It's getting harder and harder to recover, and there's so many elements that come into it. You know, you have to be able to be good with your people in terms of your customers. You have to be good with your people in terms of the people that work for you and attracting and retaining the right employees. And then you got this whole marketing thing. Well, marketing's not a big deal until the internet. And then the internet was one thing, and now we got the social media piece, and it's like, you know, wow, how do we do all this stuff? And make sure that we deliver a product that meets the customer's expectations, because if they're not satisfied, they don't come back. So, you know, that's kind of my view on this whole thing, is how do we help the business people be better business people? How do we get the technicians that reach a point, and it seems like it happens to everybody somehow, or a big majority of us, we reach a point where we're just tired of working for somebody else, and we see an opportunity to be able to do it for ourselves. And when we make that transition, we've got to be able to do it well, be profitable, be able to grow the business, at least to sustain the business, and again, meet the customer's expectations.
What's the biggest problem or problems that most technicians have when they decide to become shop owners?
Lack of knowledge and lack of experience, and so they go through the school of hard knocks. They make a lot of mistakes to learn, you know, and there's so many resources out there, and that's one of the things I don't see them taking advantage of the resources, all the resources that the industry provides, whether it's through an association, through a parts program group, through a coaching service, or just business education in general that would be available even in their own local community, and they just don't take advantage of those resources. They're too focused on the car and not focused enough on the business. Big challenge.
Has the cost of operating a service shop today increased over, say, 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely it has. It's gone along with everything else. All the elements of their overhead, whether it's their insurance, the light bill, paying wages, all the support services that they need, whether it's their point of sale software, their phone answering systems, having a website, all that, yeah, it certainly has increased over the last 5 years and probably will continue to increase. I don't see that that's going to change in the near term.
And I would assume the equipment costs are going up quite a bit?
Equipment cost has gone up, and that's one of the things when you look at technicians like tools. Tools for technicians are like toys to kids, right? Somebody comes out with a new tool, they gotta have one. We need to do a better job of making sure that they're getting the tools they need and looking at the tool as an investment that's going to return. That, do we have the right mix of work? Is this tool going to help us in terms of increasing productivity? Okay, do you approach this job with man hours, or do I approach this job with technology and the support of the tools and the technology in the tools? How many tools get bought and go in a toolbox unused for maybe years even, and you go, was that really a good investment? So yeah, the tools are really a true asset to the business, but they have to be used well. And I don't see shops that I work with and clients that I have that I coach, we've got to get them to the point already of looking at, they hear about the new tool coming out, or a new software update, and what's it going to do? It's really about, when do you need it? When's it going to be advantageous in your business? When will you have the car count that makes sense? How many cars will you have to use that on in order to actually pay for the tool before the tool starts to make you money? And there's ways to figure all that stuff out. We have to make sure shops are doing those things when they're making those investments in the tools, or the toys as I like to refer to them.
Okay, what would you estimate the typical shop today is doing as far as profit margin?
I see a lot of shops that I work with that in terms of gross profit, overall between the shop for operations, parts and labor, are generally running just under 30%.
Under 30%, and where should they be?
About 60.
60? That sounds pretty serious to me.
That is serious. It is serious. It's the difference of having the business run you, or you run the business. And this is what I hear from so many shops that I work with, and and I have a relationship with ESI, the folks at Educational Seminars Institute. They've been around since 1984, so this isn't brand new stuff. They've been dealing with this for a long time. Here's what we hear from clients that becomes frustrating is they don't tell you they want to make more money. They tell you they want some freedom. They want to be able to leave the shop. They want to be able to take a vacation that they haven't taken. They want to be able to put the kids in the car and go away for a week. They want to be able to come to an event like this and not be calling back to the shop every hour because they don't know what's going on there. They want freedom is really what they're looking for, and that's what we try to help them achieve. And you can't do that without profits. It's the profits that allow you to do that. It's putting systems and processes in place that your people know how the operation should run, whether you're there or not.
Okay.
And that's really what we find people looking for, is the freedom, the ability to operate the business and be successful and have time away.
Okay. Bill, how do people get a hold of you if they want some help?
If people wanted to reach me, they can call me on my phone anytime at 682-465-4662, or my email is billh1317@gmail.com.
Okay. Well, Bill, thanks for being with us.
You bet, Elliot. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we're going to change gears here a little bit, and with me now is Ben Johnson, the Director of Product Management for Mitchell 1, which for 90 years has provided information solutions that help make automotive professionals' jobs easier. Well, Bill, I think there's a lot to talk about today, but one of the unique things about the show today is there was actually a association-sponsored telematics award given for the first time. So I think telematics are on a lot of people's minds today. What are your thoughts about telematics?
Well, you know, I'm really excited about telematics. I've been talking about them and researching it for a long time. I participated a lot with AAIA on the Shop of Tomorrow for the last several years, where we kind of talked about this vision, and it is really, really something to see that finally come into fruition. For me, you know, we talk about the complex vehicles that we're all dealing with every day, and the challenges. You know, we heard today at the AASA breakfast about the challenges of keeping the chain of parts availability where it needs to be, so that, you know, people driving these cars haven't lowered their expectations of how quickly that car can be repaired and things like that. And the cars, on the other hand, are getting much more complex. So for me, telematics does really two things. It allows us to start proactively taking action about a condition on the vehicle when it occurs, instead of when the vehicle rolls in the bay. So, you know, one of the things that my company's working on is the ability to take a symptom and start analyzing what possible things cause that symptom to occur. Now, if you think about a telematics solution, if that code or symptom comes into our system and we can bounce back to the owner of the vehicle or to the owner's preferred shop that, hey, this vehicle has developed a trouble code, 95% probability that that trouble code was caused by a bad sensor, that shop could proactively then go and check to see the availability of the sensor, call the customer, advise what the severity is of the problem, get them scheduled in, get the sensor on its way, and get the customer in and out.
Okay. How many new cars today actually contain telematics?
A lot. I mean, you know, GM probably started it with OnStar. You hear about the Ford Sync program. A lot of the foreign nameplates now have some level of telematics. You know, it's an interesting thing because telematics is often misused. People talk about telematics for infotainment as well as, you know, diagnostics. So you got to be a little bit careful, but I think it's safe to say that most of the nameplates today have some level of telematics embedded into them.
Would you say the majority of new cars today have telematics?
I would say they have some level of it, yeah. Especially in the more premium lines. You know, maybe not the, you know, the basic commuter models yet.
What does this mean to the technicians who are eventually going to be working on these cars?
Well, I think it can be a huge advantage. You know, so there's a lot of vehicles that come equipped with it today. Now today, the dealership, the OE dealership from the brand that installed that telematics device has, you know, the access to that information. So at this point, that information is not widely available into the aftermarket, but I think that'll, over time, that'll probably change. At least I hope it does. In the meantime, as you noted, we're going to announce a winner of a telematics challenge. There's a variety of companies that are retrofitting cars that don't have telematics devices, and even cars that do have telematics devices with an aftermarket device that can make that information available into the aftermarket circles. So, what does it mean to the technician? Again, the earlier that the technician gets information from the vehicle, the faster they can start taking action about it. And frankly, it's good for the driver of the vehicle, because we all know that that check engine lamp can come on for 1,000 different reasons. So wouldn't you like a phone call or maybe even a text message saying your light's on, but it's probably on because you left your fuel cap loose. So tighten your fuel cap, we clear the code, and you're on your way. And if it's something more severe than that, you can start an action plan with the consumer of that vehicle much earlier on. The other thing that's really intriguing to me, because the cars don't break up that often, but it allows us to better maintain the vehicle. We all have, you know, some level of CRM programs or things that try to help remind us about when we should get services done. But wouldn't it be nice if the car itself could give us information that would help us understand whether it was being driven in a normal or severe manner, and help us send out the reminders of saying, hey, you've put this many miles on your car. The good news is we don't see anything really wrong with it, but it's time for your tire rotation and your oil change or whatever might be scheduled.
Well, what does it mean to a shop in the area of managing technicians, telematics specifically?
Well, again, it should be really well, if it's done right, it could be a big benefit, because as the information is coming in about the car and about the severity of whatever the car needs to come in for, by the time that the service writer calls that driver of that vehicle to schedule the car to come in, they can also get at least some sense of what level of technician they need for the problem coming in. So you can really get into resource management of your technicians. If your good drivability guy is tied up this afternoon, then you schedule the car in for tomorrow morning because you don't have this guy available to work on it right now, and things like that. So all in all, it could really streamline the workflow in the shop.
And does it give the shop manager a more direct understanding of the car's problems that he's not specifically going to be working on himself?
It can. And so, and here's the thing. So, and again, that's kind of where Mitchell 1 is positioning itself. The box itself that comes off the car can tell us that, hey, this car, here's what it is, the year, make, model, what have you, here's the mileage on it maybe, and here's a trouble code or some symptom that's coming off the vehicle. That doesn't mean a lot unless I can bounce it off of a database of, you know, so, and that's where we think we add value is information comes into us, we can say, here's what probably caused that code, here's what the possible causes are for that code to have set, and here's the actions you might take next. And we think with that, the shop owner can really, you know, streamline his business and really become more productive, more profitable, and have better customer satisfaction.
Okay. Ben Johnson of Mitchell 1, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Now we're going to move to a commercial.
Whether racing, riding, or repairing, your job or your passion, going fast or getting things done, at the track or in the shop, one thing is for sure, when you need to be your best, Mac Tools have an impact. Own your own Mac Tools franchise and be your own boss. Let Mac Tools put you in the driver's seat today. After all, working for the boss isn't so bad. That is, if you're the boss. Call 877 Mac Tools.
Well, now we're back with Wrench and Roger,
Nice to be back, Elliot.
sponsored by Mitchell 1. Wrench and Roger's been out walking the show floor, offering us a first-person video footage of his experience as a show attendee. Since we talked this morning, Wrench and Roger, what interesting things have you seen out on the show floor?
I mean, it might be a little redundant, but when I got to see Mitchell 1 short track in action, I thought, hands down, that's the coolest thing I saw in the whole show.
Why?
Good question. Because it's going to actually, in the real world, help me fix the most cars. You know, if those of you that tuned in earlier know that, you know, I own a shop, that what they do is they take information from Mitchell 1's estimator software, people make invoices, and they find out what really fixed cars by the model, by the engine size, by the VIN number. And that makes a database full of percentages. 75% of cars with this DTC were fixed with, let's say, a PCV valve. That's really important information. And the way they get that information in some ways is more scientific than anyone else in this business.
Okay. Now, is this a improvement on what they were already offering their customers?
Yes, this is a world of difference compared to what they already had. What they already had was good. Wiring diagrams, technical service bulletins. But now it's like, as we're progressing the 21st century, they're starting to get interaction with the people with the program, posting repairs, uploading waveforms, lab scopes and whatnot. And also, like we're talking about, extrapolating from these invoices what was fixing cars in real world situations and at what mileage. So that way, let's say a lot of Chevy Tahoes might break down with mass airflows with a P0103 at maybe 100,000, but 150,000 cars the same code at a higher percentage are going bad at PCV valves. So that's something that I wouldn't say, oh, go put a PCV without doing any diagnostics. But that's something where after I've diagnosed the car, verified the repair, that I can feel confident looking at that percentage, that's going to make a difference, that I'm selling the customer something that they really need.
Okay. Do we happen to have a recorded video of this product? Do you know we have
Yes,
that?
we do.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
we do.
Well, then why don't we take a look at this video?
I just flew in from New York and I can't wait to register for AAPEX.
Welcome.
Go ahead and sign in. You can enter in your name and provide your information.
Okay. Wrench in. Whoops. Roger. There we go.
Okay, let me go that for you. There you go. There's an
Little
event
book
guide
and
for you.
everything.
And here's an app that you can use. There's an app that you can use for signing in and checking out the information online.
I can't wait to use it. Thanks, Ron.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yep. Hi, this is Wrench and Roger. I just registered and I have this card with QR codes on it so I could get a compass of the AAPEX event. So what I'm going to do is use my smartphone and use my QR scanner, scan the card, and then it starts downloading. When it's done downloading, I'm able to open up the program and I can look at all different functions. I can look at the schedule, see what events are going on the next couple days. I can look at the exhibitor list, find out what companies there are, click on the company, see a little description, and even find them on the map. Speaking of maps, I can click on the map of the show and actually see where I am and where everything else is, get closer, farther away, and see what different exhibitors are here. This app's real good, really helps me navigate the show. I encourage you guys to download it. I'll see you there.
Well, we just saw some excerpts of Wrench and Roger for his first day on the show floor. We'll have a chance to catch a few more episodes of Wrench and Roger before this program is over at the end of the show, but meanwhile, come Thursday, we'll have a chance to see a review of the Mitchell 1 video. Thank you very much. Good luck, Wrench and Roger.
Thanks, Elliot.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see
John.
you again. Yeah,
Good to
nice
see
to see you.
We're sitting with John Riley, the Director of Marketing for Rotary Lift. Rotary Lift, founded in 1925, is the leading brand of vehicle lifts and equipment designed to increase technician productivity. John, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
John, you've indicated to me in the past that you've seen a bigger demand for light-duty shops doing more heavy-duty type maintenance. Why is this happening?
Well, you know, there's the shops are trying to become much more productive, and there's always a need for more business that fits within their business profile. And with that comes the challenge for companies like ours to make sure we've got the right type of equipment for these shops to work on heavier vehicles. You know, it's usually been a higher capacity lift, like a 15 and an 18 pound is used for heavier trucks. And we try to, as we do new product development, we try to develop some of the other products that we've traditionally had in the light duty shops to be able to maybe step up and meet demands of these types of facilities to do more medium duty trucks, and certainly the lighter duty trucks.
Okay, and how are these lifts constructed?
Well, there's different types of lifts. What you see mostly in the independent repair shop market are what we call surface lifts. They're anchored to the floor. They are two-post lifts are made of 3 pieces of steel, 4-post are drive-on. The two-post lifts are called frame engaging, and they're lifted by arms that are put into place to meet the OE pickup point locations. And that's the most common lift that you see out there in the market. It's used for all types of repair, general repair, specialty repair. Drive-on lifts are usually for alignment, wheel work, as well as general repair. Those are usually what you see in the market.
Okay. Now, if shops already have more traditional stationary type lifts, do they also have a reason to add more of these mobile type lifts you're describing?
Well, one of the things that the mobile lifts bring to the table for the shop owner is it gives him more flexibility and versatility because they can be moved around. Traditionally, there's like a low or a mid-rise product, which is a little easier to move. It also has limitations on height.
things of that nature. You're beginning to see mobile column lifts being developed in lower capacities, and we've just introduced one, for example, that's 13,000 pounds. Now, it takes 2 of those to lift up a vehicle, or depending on the weight of the vehicle, it may take 4. But we're beginning to see more interest, more demand in that mobile product. The other thing is the mobile product can also be used outside, depending on the surface. They have the flexibility to use it outside. Transit agencies, municipalities on the heavy duty side have been using these types of products for quite a few years because it gives them that extra flexibility where they don't have to have it in a bay, in a facility. They can actually move that vehicle outside, weather permitting, and do additional service. It's all about productivity, but that gives them an extra degree of versatility that you don't have with an anchored lift.
And what kind of surface do they need to use that outside?
Well, obviously concrete would be the best. The flatter the better, although they are a little forgiving. You can have them a little bit out of you know, they don't have to be perfectly flat. Asphalt, once again, depending on the location, if you're in a very high temperature environment, you know, Arizona and places like that, it wouldn't be as advisable. But if you have a good base, the lifts can be used outside because you're distributing that weight on more than 2 columns. Usually it's used in 4 on heavy duty applications. So the lighter capacity gives you a little bit more flexibility to where you may not need to have 4,
Okay.
and you can do it with 2. So,
can you summarize the types of materials to be found in the mobile lifts?
as far as the lift itself,
Yes.
Well, they're all, of course, made of high strength steel. Every manufacturer has a little different approach on how the lifts are made. They are wheel engaging versus, as I mentioned before, 4-post lifts are drive-on, scissor lifts are drive-on, and then you've got the 2-posts, which are frame engaging. These are actually wheel engaging. There's a fork for each wheel, and it's basically lifted up from that manner. So they're basically made just the same as the other lifts that are out there. There's really not a great deal as far as the materials go in the lifts.
Okay. And is it possible to describe the type of revenue opportunities that will exist for a shop owner that actually adds some of these mobile column lifts?
Sure. Once again, there's a little bit greater investment on the shop, so he really needs to see the opportunity to bring those kinds of projects into his shop. Shops of all types right now, light duty, the guys that want to step up and do more heavy duty, and then the traditional heavy duty shops are all looking for more productivity, efficiency, faster speed, because they know that the more projects they can run through the shop, if you're a shop that's driving profitability versus a municipality who's really looking for more productivity to get the vehicles back out on the road. But a light duty shop or an independent repair shop is looking for, how can I bring in more business and make more money and keep my technicians competitive and working on the projects that they bring in. So it's becoming more important to them to find ways to get that. And one of the things that we're finding is you're seeing it with the advent of express service in both the independent and the dealer market, because they see opportunities to be able to get more vehicles in there, inspect the vehicles, find other things that need to be repaired, and then they also drive more of their general service business. So faster service, more productivity should develop more profit.
More profit. Well, that's what it's all about.
Profit and projects.
Okay. Well, John, we much appreciate your insight, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed being here.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to a commercial.
The IQ V20 series,
Okay.
an amazing new line of cordless tools by Ingersoll Rand. Hi, I'm Ray Evernham. You know, I started using Ingersoll Rand tools many years ago, powered by air. But this great new line of cordless tools gives performance, durability, accessibility, convenience, one battery platform, all the tools you need. Strong power, intelligently managed. The new IQ V20 series of cordless tools by Ingersoll Rand. Do the job, do it fast, do it every time.
We're here with Bobby Bassett, the North American Training Manager for Brigades Corporation, one of the world's leading manufacturers of industrial and automotive products, systems, and components with operations in 30 different countries. We're here specifically to talk about the need for better educator material. We spent a lot of time today talking about the new technology and the need for better trained employees and better trained managers. And education's just become such an important part of this industry that some people have focused their attention specifically on improving the educational materials out there. Bobby Bassett here, he gave a presentation this morning, correct, Bobby?
I did, yes.
And that presentation was titled, "What Your Counterperson Doesn't Know May Be Costing You, Both You and Your Customer, Big Dollars." Well, Bobby, I want to start out with a question, and that is, what makes an effective automotive educator?
Well, that's a big question, Elliot. One thing that we've found, first, for the most part, that today there's not a lot of information available for the consumer out there. So at Gates, we begin to put together training specifically for not only the consumer through the Performance Center, which is our e-learning site, but we also now have available YouTube for them. One thing that we found, and what I presented this morning, is there's 4 things that are happening under the hood of the car, specifically with the belt, that a lot of the educators or even the counter people have no knowledge of. So the tech and the counter person has no knowledge of this, so how do we get that information to them? The second part to that is it's not only at the counter level or the tech level, but for the school level or the educator, how do we get that information down to them? Some of these messages can take 6 years for it to get down through the normal course of channel. So what we've done is kind of put together a program specifically for the educator. So is that, if we're talking about it for the educator itself.
Well, why has it taken 6 years for the material to get out to the field?
Well, a good example is this small tool that I brought, and this is a belt wear tool that we developed in 2010. Now, all belt manufacturers prescribe to the same type of information, but what it was, we saw that belts were not being changed because the technician was looking for the wrong thing. They were looking for cracks. And belts today, because the material has changed from neoprene to EPDM, they really don't crack anymore. So how can you tell if a belt failed? So this small tool, and I left my belt in the booth, but you simply put it in the groove like this, and if it does not stick up, that tells me that the belt is worn and it's no longer transferring the power. Now the second part of that is today the tensioner is built with the same life cycle as the belt. So if the technician's replacing the belt but not replacing the tensioner at the same time, then there's no way for the belt to continue to transfer the power because it has ineffective tension on it. So we took this information, it's so important if it's in book form for the educator. It may today, if the companies that manufacture the book that they provide it to the educator, if they even started today, it may take 3, 4, 5 years for them to get it into print form. So by the time it gets to the school, that information, if they have the budget to purchase it, can be 5, 6, 7 years old. Now what we did to make sure, we had to kind of bypass the industry to get this information down as quickly as we could, because we even have now false codes that are being created when a belt slips. So that's why it's so important to get this information down to the educator. So we developed a site purely for the educator to be able to go grasp all this information from.
Slide.
It's called the Gates Tools for School program, and it's a resource site that's built specifically for the educator to use in their curriculum.
Okay. Now print has been the traditional form of education material in the industry.
It has.
Will that continue to be the primary form? Or
I think you'll see, and I think most people that print realize that type of format eventually will go away. It's all becoming digital. In fact, I laughingly call everybody that's got an iPhone, the eyes have it today. I mean, if you have an iPhone, it's driving the industry, and at some point you'll be able to look on your iPhone and be able to find what you need to fix the problem on the vehicle. So it's...
Now, traditionally, person-to-person instruction has always been important.
Right.
But as the internet has evolved, there have been a lot of self-teaching tools that have come about. Do you think the person-to-person type of instruction will continue to be as important as it has been?
I think it's extremely important. It's more difficult to do in-person training because of the overall cost. Today we train through webinars. We can train through, I do some in-person training. You know, I train the trainer to train our people, or we train our customers. More specifically, we certainly we have one time a year, typically we have large conferences for the teacher where we train them on what they need to know. So you'll have a lot of vendors will come in, or manufacturers will come in and then train the educator. In fact, downstairs, the AAPEX Educational Committee, we're offering training for the educator tomorrow, and we've invited Patrick Brown Harrison, who is the president of NACAT, which is the North American Council of Automotive Teachers, to be a part of that. So he'll be on a forum tomorrow, helping run a forum, asking or telling industry what we need from there, what they need from us, in order for us to help move this information down to them very quickly.
Okay. And are we strictly talking about technical training right now?
Yes. Yes. This is not product training.
Okay. And this is not business management type training?
Right now, from where I am, it's strictly tech.
Strictly technical. Okay. And do you have you're actually on the AAIA's training committee?
I am. I'm one of the educational committee members.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the committee. Who else is on there?
Oh Lord, you asked me a loaded question on that. We have Tom Grohouse will be here tomorrow from UNOH. Of course, Sue Kalish is the lady that's in charge of it. We have Mike Moeller, who's the president of it, and then it's a loaded question.
Okay. Well, I think a more important question is what exactly is the role of the education committee?
Well, the role of the educational committee is for the members here is to find what type of training that will assist them to do to run their business better. So that's a big part of it, and that's what it's done over the last for many years. This year, though, because of the needs of the educator, we're also trying to change that to provide the educational training for the educator as well. We're trying to get industry here involved with the educator, because they've got the latest information, they've got the latest technology, and we need them to say, because there's certain things that are happening under the hood that nobody's got awareness of, but this is one way we can bring both industry and education together by holding these sessions.
Now, attendance at conventions tends to vary from year to year, but conventions are also a place where people can get this kind of training. Do you see the conventions as becoming more important to training or less important?
For the educator or for industry?
For the industry.
For the industry, absolutely it is. It's important because I'll give you an example of our line, our product line. Our research and development, our business is split 50% down the middle. We do 50% original equipment, 50% aftermarket, where we are here today. But our engineers, when they research and develop for OE, they're working 10 years out. So 10 years from now, I mean, this is why it's so important to maintain these conventions and the information around that, so we can help bring that information to industry quickly.
Well, I think that's a message that we have to get out there, and it's a message a lot of people out there aren't aware of.
Right.
So we got to maintain our interest in attending conventions. Okay. Well, Bobby, is there anything else you think you need to say at this point as we kind of wrap it up?
Well, I'd like to say if there are any educators that are listening out there tomorrow, make sure you come by downstairs. It begins at 2 o'clock, I believe, and we have special education material just for you. So.
Okay.
I appreciate
Bobby,
it.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Elliot.
Okay. Okay, well, Sarah, that was quite an informative set of interviews as we kind of close down the live streaming video program for the first day. And boy, I sure learned a lot. Hopefully the next couple days will be just as informative to the attendees. So I guess we're getting to that point where we can kind of sit back and relax a little bit for the remainder of the show.
Sounds good. Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in to VehicleServicePros.com's live AAPEX broadcast, sponsored by Launch, Tech, and Mayhew. Please join us again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for our next live broadcast. Our time is up now, and we thank you for yours.